Can I have some attention, please? Some attention, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is the last session, and I know many of you are tired, but also excited at what might be at the end of the closure of today. So just bear with a last very, very exciting session. It's a very important session. Just before we invite an esteemed group of panelists, I want to invite for a very brief moment Miss Annie Binti Kuntum for a 5-minute conversation with us to give her perspectives on sustainability. It's coming from Malaysia. So give us 5 minutes and then we will start with the panel discussion. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's past noon. I will just elaborate a bit about whatever we are doing together with Solidaridad. I'm from the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, and Malaysian Palm Oil Board is the custodian for the oil palm industry. So whatever the activities in the oil palm industry, we are actually aware of what's going on. So as far as sustainability is concerned, this is the new buzzword which is related to palm oil. So if I ask you, I mentioned palm oil, what image comes to your mind? Can everybody say what is the image that comes to your mind the moment I mention palm oil? Yes, great, great. So, you know, it's sort of literally the moment you say palm oil, the next thing you know is they have this orangutan. And the next thing we have the tiger. And the next thing we have the elephant. So these are the things that is always, whenever palm oil, these are the three things that usually. So actually we have taken a lot of actions. We have sanctuary and everything for all this wildlife. But still, we still are connected to orangutan, elephant, and tigers. So that's it. So we have to actually implement sustainability requirements, and we have to go to certification. Okay, the first sustainability certification that invades the Malaysian oil palm industry is RSPO. So I used to attend some of this meeting, but at the end of the day, I think it's a business kind of scenario, and we from the government are just observers, so I didn't attend any more of those meetings. Okay, but anyway, that's a long story history about all those things. What I'm trying to say is that for us in Malaysia, the smallholders, which is about 40% land area, yeah, and these are the people that actually will be the loser if we follow a very strict sustainability requirement. So beside them, there's also the medium growers. So most of the big growers are the ones that implemented RSPO. For us, it's fine. You know, it's fine for them to go ahead with it because then those palm oil are will be sustainably certified. So, but then we have to think about the medium growers and the smallholders. So these are the two groups of people. There's no standard for these two group of people. So that's the reason why the ministry asked us to come up with something that can apply to the whole supply chain. Okay, now as far as Malaysian Palm Oil Board is concerned, our responsibility is for the smallholders. So there are about 250,000 independent smallholders and about 300,000 organized smallholders. So a total of about 650,000 smallholders in Malaysia. So how do we certify this under MSPO? So for the organized, it's fine. They are under government agency, they are grouped under scheme. For the independent, they have nobody to take care of them. So it falls back on MPOB to take care of them. So we put them in groups under clusters. So we clusters about 2,000 of them, and therefore we have 162 clusters. And this is where Solidaridad and MPOB works together. So there are 3 clusters that we are focusing on with Solidaridad. So one in the north, one in the south, and one in East Malaysia. So for the last year, we have been building up, developing an ICT tool to be used to get database for the smallholders. So therefore, whatever information we collected from the questionnaire, we pass it to our counterpart in Solidaridad, India. So they are the one who built the ICT tool for us. So that ICT tool now is ready. So now what we are doing is, we are going back to the smallholders, collecting all this information from them, building up the database, so that at the end of the day, all the smallholders, which is about 2,000 of them in one cluster, will be certified. So our work is ongoing. We have done quite a lot of training. Yes, Solidaridad and MPOB has gone down to the ground so many times. In fact, Dr. Suresh has been coming and going all the time. So doing a lot of training, teaching. So you must bear in mind, when you talk about smallholders, the non-educated one, and then you have the highly educated one. So the range in terms of knowledge is very wide. So we have to adjust ourselves with whom we are speaking. So that's where we find that some of these tools and some of the suggestions made are useful for us to actually approach the smallholders. So MPOB is the only one that has the list of smallholders. So we are the only one who can actually contact them and get them on board. So that's why at the end of the day, the ministry assigned MPOB to actually do help the smallholders. So what we actually did is we start from A until the smallholders got their certificate. We fund them, we train them, we do the documentations, and we actually pay for all the certification infrastructure and so on. So 100% for the certification and even the certification fee. And at the moment, we still have some funds, so we are also paying for the surveillance fee. So there are about 60 that has been certified, and some of them are undergoing surveillance audit, and we have another 60 by the end of the year and another 42 next year, so that all the 162 clusters which we have already grouped, the smallholders, will be certified by the end of 2019. So what we are trying to do is we want to get the whole of the listed smallholders in one cluster and then get the auditors to make a random sampling of any one of these 2,000. Hence, we have the whole of the 2,000 in that one area be certified under MSPO. So this is our new way of doing things to ensure that all these smallholders are in the certification mode by the end of 2019. So all this work is ongoing, and we also going to do with Solidaridad. The one in East Malaysia, that will be the most interesting because most of the smallholders are natives of Sarawak, so they will be the most interesting group. And I think the Solidaridad group will find that they are different from the Peninsular group. So we will actually continue with it, and we have what, 3 years agreement. So our aim is to have everybody completed by 2019. That is what the final target. So that hopefully 2020 we have all be certified. We cannot get 100%. Yeah, maybe there's still some that we may not be able to do, but our target is to have all of them certified palm oil. So with that, my congratulations to Solidaridad for the 10 years, sorry. Sorry. Sorry, no, because last year, Malaysia was 100 years of palm oil. Okay, so I saw the word 10. It's okay. Congratulations for the 10 years of Solidaridad in Southeast Asia. And I'm sure that we can continue this collaboration, and then we'll see how much further we can take up this collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, without much ado, let's move on to the next session. Can I invite on the podium Mr. Atul Chaturvedi, CEO of Agribusiness from Adani Wilmar. Mr. Roshan Tamak, Executive Director of DCM SHRIRAM. Dr. B. Chandrasekaran from CLRI. And there's a very interesting fact for very recent, I think, Chrome Tech technology. You've got the President's Award, so hopefully we'll get a chance to hear some of that in the conversation. Mr. Abhay Udeshi, Chairman Jayant Agro. Mr. Sanjay Sacheti, Country Head Olam. Mr. Nasim Ali, CEO from Oil Palm Plantation, Godrej Agrovet, and Mr. P.N. Rao, Senior Manager, Commercial, GHCL. So just to be clear, Mr. Atul is going to coordinate the rest of the session, and all that we will be doing now is timekeeping. We will be a little bit strict about it because at the end of the day, everybody will be tired. Most importantly, you will be tired. So just to ensure that you're not overtired.
So you're shirking your responsibility?
Well, I'm more than happy to share that responsibility with you. It's about sharing. So let's share the sustainability. Let's do it together. But if you do feel that there is a point at which you would want me to interject, or I might do it suo moto, I'm very happy to do it. But let's see if a self-regulatory mechanism works.
You have the buzzer.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Good evening. Let me join the chorus in congratulating Solidaridad on 100 years in Asia, minus 90. But I'm sure it's going to be 100 years. So it's a good beginning. Friends, recently I was invited to Malaysia at the POTS conference, which is the palm oil conference, as part of the CEO forum to discuss issues on striking balance between profitability and sustainability. So I thought instead of going through the process of making another speech, and the topic here is also more or less something like that, I said I might as well share the same views which I expressed with the Malaysian audience, and I'm lucky that the same audience is not here. So that's my, and let me also tell you that part of that presentation was courtesy Mr. Shatadru, because I requested him to give me some inputs, because we are very poor as far as sustainability goes. Friends, when I started my career way back in the late 70s, that is, I think 78 was the time, what we were told at that time was businesses had one responsibility: use the resources and engage in activities designed to maximize profits by staying within the rules of the game. This is what was dinned into our ears by my bosses, and I'm lucky to have a colleague here who is also working in the company where I started my career from, Mr. Roshan Lal. That is what was dinned into our ears. But the rules of the game have undergone a sea change in the 21st century. The new definition of sustainable development envisages growth that meets economic, social, and environmental needs without compromising the future of any one of them. Earlier, we were asked to play within the rules of the game, but now we are told that you've got to do things which are sustainable in nature and which do not. So the definition of sustainability and what the businesses need to do has undergone a bit of a change. Now, what does sustainability mean for different stakeholders? For an Indonesian small farmer or a Malaysian smallholder, the meaning of sustainability is very different from a corporate who owns acres and hectares of land. For him, his biggest problem as of today is how does he make both ends meet with palm oil prices plummeting. In fact, it so happened that we were traveling in Indonesia with Kulbir and his colleagues, and we entered one of the villages, and there the first question which every smallholder was asking, when do you think the palm oil prices are going to go up? Because the poor guy is just not surviving. And at 2,000 ringgit or whatever, he's in a big soup. So for him, that is something what he has to bother about because it's his own sustainability issue. For an Indian oilseed farmer, the oilseed values keep going down for the simple reason that Indonesian palm oil prices or Malaysian palm oil prices are low, and that they ensure that the Indian oilseed values remain low. So my take is that the meaning of sustainability for different stakeholders is different. One size doesn't possibly fit all. What is relevant for the Western world may not actually be relevant for our part of the world, where getting your next meal is a much bigger sustainability issue than taking care of many other things which the Western world wants. I'm not saying what the Western world demands is wrong, but on an empty stomach, it's a little hollow if we talk about sustainability in the Western context. But from the Indian perspective or our part of the world, yes, it definitely does mean. But all this does not mean that sustainability needs to take a backseat on account of conflicting interests of various stakeholders. Suffice to say that for a farmer, processor and consumer in South Asia, the challenges are different than the one faced by Westerners. As I earlier said, one size doesn't fit all. Somebody rightly said, sustainability issues can be better handled on a full stomach rather than on an empty stomach. During the course of the afternoon session, somebody talked about giving the right premiums for sustainable products. Let me share with you our own experience of palm in India. And we happen to be the largest importers as a company also of importing palm into this country. When we were talking about RSPO and sustainability and all that, a lot of these big boys of this world, I will not name them, the big buyers of this world, they all talked about getting RSPO oil or sustainable oil, and they will give premiums and they will give. So we all joined the bandwagon. But nobody is willing to pay a penny more. No one is willing to pay a cent more. So when you as a consumer, the only thank you service which they are willing to do is that, okay, we'll buy from you because you are sustainable. That doesn't work. That doesn't keep my kitchen running. So when we talk about the sustainability issue, it's important that we also pass on some of that so that down the line it trickles. Friends, sustainability and profitability are not mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, they are actually interlinked. Companies which practice sustainability in real sense as opposed to mere lip service. and I'm using and emphasizing the word lip service, invariably perform much better and their image also improves. One study says that within next few years, 60% of the Fortune 500 companies will expand their strategic goals to reflect the triple bottom line of economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social progress. So if this doesn't happen, you better catch Mr. Chaturvedi because he's the one who gave me this information. But this is something which is going to happen. Whether we like it or not, it is going to happen. For businesses operating sustainably, the advantages are many. Some of them are, it helps in the improvement of reputation, branding, competitive advantage, optimal valuation, the stock markets actually value much higher, and optimization, the market's reward. To me, the biggest sustainability issue, as far as our part of the world is concerned, is actually making agriculture sexy and glamorous for the youngsters because they are just not willing to get into agriculture. We are finding people just not willing to get into agriculture. For me, that is a big sustainability issue. Now what I'll do is, I've been giving the onerous task of managing this as well as managing the time as well. So what we'll do is, we'll start from this side with Godrej, and you all can come, express whatever you need to express, basis the business and sustainability, how they go together. Over to you. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all the distinguished persons, the ladies and the gentlemen. My sincere thanks to Solidaridad for inviting me their 10-year celebrations in Masnera. Now, the business sustainability and the profitability, these two aspects when we talk, there are certain issues relevant to this. Before I go to the depth of the subject, let me just give little flavor about the oil palm in India and the oil palm in Malaysia. I am not comparing the Malaysia or Indonesian standards with Indian standards, but I would like to highlight certain issues, how oil palm is being grown sustainably or not, probably that we need to judge ourselves. But let me tell you, the very concept of maintain the ecology, maintain the environment, no deforestation. Probably India is the best example where by growing oil palm in India, where earlier short duration crops were grown. So we are doing, we means the government of India, the country, all the processing companies are doing the afforestation. It is not the reforestation or deforestation. It is called afforestation because the land remains fallow for 6 to 9 months in India where the marginal landowning farmers are just growing the crops for 3 to 6 months. So we should give a big hand to our marginal farmers who are growing oil palm because they are associated with oil palm and they will remain associated with oil palm for 30 years. By doing this, the land when it remains fallow, there are a lot of soil erosions and other runoff takes place. But when you grow oil palm and the canopy coverage takes place over the area, rather you are adding soil nutrients through humus lot back to the soil. Secondly, the farmer's income when it increase because the crop rotations what they were doing, say example for the northeast, what they are doing, shifting cultivation or it is called the jhum cultivation, where lot of fire takes place. Every year they shift from one area to another area. By doing oil palm, they restrict that
and their economy slowly improves over a period of time. Now, how we can make it more sustainable in this respect, the point remains is that probably there is a scope for making a partnership with the NGOs. So before making the partnership with the NGOs, I would like to say that there is a need, in general, I am not talking about Solidaridad, we do apology. In general, we should be careful about selection of the NGOs. That is very important in the beginning. Otherwise, now Godrej Agrovet has made a partnership with Solidaridad very recently, couple of months, by signing the MOU. And we have started in a pilot project, and we have the ambition, once it is being skill development center takes place, and once we see the important and the value addition takes place in Andhra Pradesh, we have the plan in next step to go to Northeast, which is remotest corner of the country, and where the sustainability aspect will play very, very important role. So far farmers' economy is concerned, socio-economic development is concerned, and the farmers' income is concerned. Now, point is that corporates and the NGOs, they are different in their goals, they are different in their structures, and they are different in their motivating factors. So there may be certain barriers, but those barriers probably we can remove and reduce by identifying the factors which are involved in removing those barriers and make it more sustainable. Like, suppose we want to do certain skill development centers, where as a corporate, we talk about business profitability, where the NGOs are there to access their funds. So therefore, we can hand together and go and skill development centers, either by the self-help group, or the socio-economic condition can be improved by making generation employment. Harvesters, suppose in case of oil palm, as Solidaridad and Godrej is doing, that is group of harvesters we are trying to create, which is the problem for harvesting of the fruit bunch from the tall trees. So that makes sense in the ground reality that such a group can be created. The harvesters also get their income throughout the year, farmers also get to resolve their problem, and corporate also gets input supply slowly. So there should be a total circle will be 360-degree can be formed by making such kind of partnership. Now, there are many opportunities and there are barriers. Now, opportunities is where corporate cannot enter into certain areas where NGO can help to enter into. Secondly, corporates are always there for business go more and more and more, so far profitability is concerned. Probably the NGOs will see how best the profitability of the lower income group can be increased over a period of time. And that will help to make the whole things parallelly go with the help of NGO and the corporates or the social enterprises and go hand to hand and make the achievement. With these few words, I finish, and I hope then only the question of sustainability comes in through, real sense. Thank you so much.
So in a nutshell, what you're saying, if the businesses have to survive, the farmers also have to survive. Because the farmer surviving helps the corporate also to survive. Now we'll ask Mr. Abhay Udeshi to give us a flavor of castor and their sustainability issues pertaining to castor.
Thank you, Atulji. Thank you, Dr. Shatadru, for inviting us. And congratulations for the 10-year celebrations. My name is Abhay Udeshi. I come from Jayant Agro-Organics Limited. We are castor-based company. We focus only on castor. We are one of the largest players on manufacturing castor oil and oleochemicals based on castor oil. Our company, together with the largest users of castor oil, Arkema and BASF, together with partnering with Solidaridad, are implementing a project called Pragati on castor. Castor as an industry in India, in 1950s, we were only growing about 125,000 tons of castor seeds. Today, we are about 1.5 million tons of castor seeds. India is controlling or is producing about 85% of the global castor oil, and we all look at India as the major source of castor oil supplies. Keeping this in mind, and also keeping that castor oil can go for all kinds of applications. In a way, we say castor oil can be used anywhere and everywhere. So if you say any small things or big things, like a lipstick, to paints, to engineering plastics, to cosmetic products, pharma products, you will find castor oil used everywhere. Keeping this in mind, we have what Atul ji said, as a flavor or as a product that needs to be sustainable. We are following again the bandwagon, because this demand of sustainable castor oil is coming from the end user industry. So this is why we have initiated this project, and we are ensuring that going forward, our farmers or the castor seed as a project is sustainable in the long term. We have initiated the project in the year 2016. We are still 2.5 years old baby here. It's a long way to go. We are focusing more on good agricultural practices. We are also looking at the social environment and other factors that would impact the livelihoods of farmers and also the industry. On one hand, we already have initiated, mainly driven by the Europeans, what is called as Together for Sustainability in the chemical industry. Similarly, we are going down the value chain and looking at the farming on the sustainability side. So we are happy to inform that in the 3 years, we have, I would say, covered almost 3,000 farmers using sustainable standards, and we are in the process of still developing different codes and getting those farmers certified for castor. So we have in the first year certified about 1,000 farmers, but it's still a long way ahead, and we hope that we will be able to meet the requirements of sustainable castor oil for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhay ji. In fact, Solidaridad and his company have done extensive work as far as castor is concerned. Solvent Extractors Association, of which I happen to be the president, also has been doing a lot of work as far as castor is concerned. But castor definitely has a sustainability issue, because the demand for castor in the world is growing exponentially, and the production is still not keeping pace. So from castor, we move on to another subject, and an interesting one. We have Mr. Chandrasekaran talking about leather. That is another interesting subject.
Yeah, good evening. On behalf of the Leather Research Institute, I extend our congratulations to Solidaridad Asia on this anniversary. Well, talking about sustainability for manufacturing, but to do that, what kind of sustainable business model we could look at, in my opinion, institutions and agencies and the NGOs to come back. I thought I would like to have a couple of minutes of our case study of what we did about 20 years back with an artisanal cluster in Adani who were making Kolhapuri sandals, which have got now a geographical GI tag now for the Kolhapuri sandals of India. But when we worked with them, we looked at their quality of the raw material, what they used. A back tan leathers for their sole was very bad, and they could not make consistently a good quality. It was taking a lot of time for them, say about 3 weeks, for them to get from the raw hide to a finished product, because they were doing everything in a non-mechanized manner. But when we went in, we had a lot of resistance to start with. When we said that we could make some better product for them, they didn't want to listen to it. But then we showcased them how best a product could be done. But we had with them an NGO called Ascent. With them, we worked. We didn't stop with enhancing the technology. We went one step ahead of intervening the kind of products what they make. We brought the artisans back at institute, gave them the skills, modern tools and other things by which they could standardize their product. Standardization of their product itself was very bad. And we didn't stop with standardizing a product, and we also added elements of fashion, colors, textures. What we were otherwise doing for organized sector, we taught them also. And in this process, what I'm trying to say here, it's about 20 years back when we did this, we had in mind a circular economy, that it is those artisans who develop their raw material, make them into a final product, and also into a fashionable one. While they were struggling in marketing those products in an established domestic markets, after our intervention, they're able to do their business to Germany and Japan. One of the strong, very difficult markets, I should say, and they were doing for them. And apart from that, when I said it is not just only the circular economy and inclusive growth, these terminologies, we may talk about it now, but we've been practicing some of these activities. When I say this, our recent interactions with Solidaridad. So that was, I must say, it was a very timely coincidence, I should say. Well, in the last couple of years, we've been in the forefront of developing some of the innovative SNT solutions for the sustainable development of leather sector, especially with a, I must say, a game-changing technology, what we call as a waterless chrome tanning, which looks at reducing about 25% of the water that is being consumed in the leather processing, and also reducing the salt load by about 25%, and saving about 20% of the precious chrome tanning material. And I could only say only on a material aspect what is that, but we have evidences of enhancing the quality of the material, which would fetch them a better price. And while we did so, we've been trying to, push this technology to the tanners. We went around to all over the country, to all the sectors, but it was that time the Solidaridad was coming into it. It was the same time as Mr. Taj Alam was mentioning about, there are about 400 small, I must say micro, he was just only talking about SMEs. I must say that most of those 400 tanning units there are of micro level, and for them, now we are in the process of doing. When I say this, we didn't just stop with only Solidaridad as an NGO, but we have also taken with us one of the largest chemical house, Stahl International, because they are the leather chemical house who are also indebted to work for sustainability of the leather sector. When somebody talks about sustainable business model, if Stahl has to do their sustainable business, there has to be a base. The tanners or the industry has to be sustainable. Otherwise, nobody has a business. So in that aspect, and when I say this, we have other programs like what Mr. Taj was saying about electro-oxidation as one of the techniques, and we have a shift from chemical to biological processing, some of these measures. And we're also looking at, especially in Kanpur region where we have about 30 or 40 slaughterhouses, whether we can bring even the green hides instead of going for salt preservations, looking at the collection of the green hides and giving it to the tanners so that the salt could be reduced. There are several such interventions what we are now looking at, and we see Solidaridad as playing a catalytic role. When I say Solidaridad, it is only just this, but I'm saying in a larger perspective, most of the governmental initiatives can see its limelight if we have NGOs actively participating in it. And when I say for that, it is the cooperation with NGOs, government agencies, like various ministries, whether it is Environment Ministry, whether it is Industry and Policies Promotion, or even the trade bodies or the chemical houses, what we've been talking about, working seamlessly networking among themselves for achieving the goal. When we say this, most of the S&T innovations, we don't attribute to regional specific. It has been developed in India, or it may not be going. Most of the S&T innovations will cut across the, the barriers, borders, and they are truly global. And in fact, our expertise and experience in sharing many of our expertise to other developing countries in Africa and Asia has opened up new areas now. And in fact, we are now looking forward to taking many of our S&T innovations in making not only Indian leather sector sustainable, but the entire global leather scenario being successful one. I think our experience in this will definitely go a long way. And yesterday we had very good discussions with the CPCB and other people who are coming out with guidelines for the leather sector. And I think we have been highlighting many of our efforts and how we've been doing it. And very soon there will be government initiative of making this sector. And in my opinion, in the next 2 or 3 years' time, we see tremendous potential for the Indian leather sector, changing from the so-called red corridor here to an amber or an yellow region. And I think NGOs definitely can play a much bigger role in enhancing, I must say, the name of the sector. You're bringing a good name for the industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekaran. We take your suggestion. If leather industry is not going to be sustainable over a longer period of time, we'll probably end up wearing only rubber shoes and leather will go out. So I don't think we're going to be affording that. Now I'll bring you all to another very interesting subject. I have always been a vegetable oil man last 40 years of my career, and towards the fag end of my career, now when I developed diabetes in a big way, I got pitchforked as a chairman of a sugar company called Renuka. How ironic. I have a colleague of mine who's from the company where I started my career from. So he's going to be talking on sustainability on sugar. Let me also share with you that Renuka and Solidaridad have a very close symbiotic relationship for expanding and properly taking care of our sugarcane farmers in the state of Karnataka and Maharashtra. So I never knew that. This came to my notice about 3-4 months back that we already have a very symbiotic relationship. Over to you, Mr.
Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Satadru and Solidaridad for inviting me to share my experience about the sector, sugar sector. Atul Chaturvedi is a veteran of agribusiness, so he is fully familiar with all the agribusinesses. And he has rightly said that sustainability and profitability are not mutually exclusive. Very rightly said. But the need is to practice it. And that practice, as far as practicing is concerned, that will start from the commitment of the management. So as far as any sustainability initiative is concerned, it starts with the commitment of the management, that top management. Because you have to commit time, effort, resources. And you have to be mentally clear that the business cannot sustain until unless it is environmentally sustainable, socially responsible, and economically viable. These are the fundamentals that any sensible management, wearing the hat of corporate citizen or a global citizen, and we all play these two roles in different capacities. So this is the fundamental starting point of any sustainability initiatives. As far as my experience of sustainability in sugar sector is concerned, I am delighted to share that we have initiated a very big program, Sustainable Sugarcane Production Program, which is lasting for about 6-7 years. And we are privileged to have partners like Solidaridad, IFC, and Coca-Cola in that program. This program is running wonderfully, and it is giving tangible results on ground, and also cultural change is visible in the area. The beauty of this program is that it covers about 200,000 farmers. 200,000 farmers. So the scale and size of the program is humongous. And also, it covers about a cultivable area of about 250,000 hectare cultivable land, out of which about 160,000 hectare is sugarcane land. Perhaps this is the program of the scale. It is a unique program globally, I can say so, but I'm not too sure, but probably this is the biggest program. And Dr. Stadru deserves that compliment for initiating in this program and helping in this program personally. Second, the fundamental, as I have told just now, that the anchor of the program has to be the corporate. It cannot be steered or anchored by any NGO or any agency or any partner. The fundamental responsibility, the core responsibility lies with the corporate. They have to own, they have to steer, they have to monitor, they have to execute. Otherwise, it will not happen. Second, choose your partners carefully. Credible and capable partners are worth to be taken on board. Otherwise, please choose them very, very carefully. Then the project has to be implemented in the project mode, but with missionary zeal. Both these words are quite powerful. It has to be implemented in project mode, but with missionary zeal. Therefore, actionables and deliverables and timelines have to be very clearly spelled. And there has to be a very structured program to monitor and review the progress. Otherwise, it will not happen. Then, in the last, the certification. I personally feel that certification is a byproduct of the sustainability initiatives. These are the business objectives, which are material, which are important. This certification, like particular certification, is of no meaning until unless the business, main business, the core business is not viable, and the farmers, particularly the smallholders, don't feel the importance of this initiative, these sustainability initiatives. What is the meaning of running this sustainability project? Therefore, all the programs, all the arms or all the legs of the program, like water conservation, productivity enhancement, and soil health improvement, have to be integral, and those have to be showcased to the farmers very, very clearly, so that they imbibe that this is the change this is the impact which I am getting, and he should feel the importance of that. In our area, we are seeing this visible change. For example, in today's scenario, everybody is crying for this pollution, environmental pollution in Delhi due to trash burning. In our area, I can proudly say, very humbly say, that there is zero burning in last, though there has been gradual change, but as on today, we can claim that there is practically nil burning in our area of trash. So, this cultural change can be only achieved through consistent capacity building, showcasing, demonstrating, and continuous engagement with the farmers. Secondly, about water. Just 1 minute. Water is again a scarce resource for all of us. Proudly, I can say that an independent government body has evaluated the sustainability initiatives in our area with regard to water conservation. And in 2 years, you will be pleased to know, in 2 years, 117 billion liter of water has been saved out of these initiatives. So, the scale and size of the initiatives matter, but the need is to run in project mode and missionary mode. And this project is called Mitha Sona. I am very happy to share all the details if anybody is desirous of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roshan Lalji. In fact, to me, the key takeaway was that you've got to be very, very careful when you're selecting your bride, right? In this case, the NGO. And to sustain the marriage, you've got to work with missionary zeal. Right? Good one. Now we have Mr. Sacheti, the CEO of Olam, the multi-product company with multi-offices right across the world. He's the CEO for India. Over to you, Mr. Sacheti, to share your thoughts.
Good evening. Really delighted to be here at this August occasion. We have been so impressed with Solidaridad all this while. We have a very effective partnership going with them in India over the last 5-6 years. And the results are there for most stakeholders to see. It's been a really wonderful journey. So really proud of them, proud of the work which we do with them, and the impact which it has delivered here. Just to share a little bit about our operations and the impact, the sustainability related issues which impact us. We are a multi-product company, as Atulji said, multi-product and multi-geography company. We are present in about 70 countries and we deal in about 44 different kinds of crops. And the business model is a farm-to-fork business model. Since last 10 to 15 years, there has been a very clear perceptible change which one has seen in the environment. Till the early 2000s, we were pretty happy pursuing with single-minded focus profitability objectives, trying to get maximum resources at our disposal and trying to serve customers as aggressively as possible and enhancing our profitability to the extent possible. But as we started developing a footprint across the globe, across multiple countries, our business model started diversifying from a trading-oriented business model to a farming to a B2C kind of business model. We saw that there were multiple stakeholders who had some issues or the other with our operations. So when we started acquiring land for our farming operations, there were protests from the farmers. They had issues with the prices which were being paid to them or the manner in which the land acquisition was happening. When we were setting up factories and acquiring land for that, and when we started getting workers, payment of fair wages, not minimum wages, were the issue, and we ran into problems with multiple stakeholders. So be it regulatory agencies, be it environmental control-related agencies, worker unions, various other regulatory agencies. When we started getting into the B2C model, the consumers were the key stakeholders, and consumers started talking about the quality of our produce, the quality of our products, the food safety related issues which they were confronting on a day-to-day basis. When we started diversifying our sources of finance, we found that a lot of financial institutions, and typically from the West, from where most of our capital was getting sourced, they started raising issues on sustainability related issues. Then another factor which hit us was that as millennials started coming into our workforce, and we are recruiting all over the globe from some of the leading universities of the world, millennials asked us these questions about the sustainability related element in our business model. And to create a solid employee value proposition, sustainability again came into central focus there. So the point I'm trying to make is that sustainability is about balancing stakeholder interests. It is about keeping a very sharp eye on who are your stakeholders and how do the interests get balanced. For 30, 40 or 50 years, businesses could choose to ignore these issues and focus on maximizing profits, but no longer. The continuity of our operations with this kind of a spread, every second month, there is some issue where a stakeholder's interest is affected. And unless and until we very effectively balance the interests of all these stakeholders and keep on measuring what is our impact on the community and all these stakeholders, we are likely to get into some problems or the other. There are huge investments being made, and unless and until those investments are made in a manner that these stakeholder interests are balanced, they are going to run into problems. So it's not a fad. It is something which is a dire necessity of our times. And this is something which has to be kept in mind. And that's why we have evolved something which is called as the Olam Sustainability Standard. And it is focused on 7 elements of business, right from the soil from which we get our produce to our customers, which is food safety, which we deliver to the customers. There are 7 elements, and for each and every business which we run, we measure how do we fare on these 7 elements. And unless and until those are balanced, there are regular reviews, questioning within the organization, and a very heightened level of consciousness that we have work to do there. Having said all this, the partnership with NGOs, what it brings to the table is, I think, purity of principles and a much deeper understanding of stakeholder issues which are involved. Being businesses and being business executives, we sometimes tend to lose sight of what are the issues involved on the ground. And that's what these NGOs bring very sharply as far as our focus and attention is concerned. The second part is capability building within our organization and delivery of impact to the stakeholders. I think NGOs are, some of the NGOs, and as Roshan very rightly mentioned, if you select those NGOs carefully and measure them on these 2-3 parameters, their understanding of community issues, their capability building skills, and their ability to deliver impact across the community. If these things are measured properly and the right selection is made, then you are home. So that's something which is very, very critical, and that was one of the reasons we have associated with Solidaridad, and we are very glad that the impact which has been created with the project which we have done with them is pretty, very profound. And as Roshan mentioned, they've been able to save almost 200 billion liters of water. Similarly, at a much smaller scale, we have saved something like 15 billion liters of water at whatever scale we operate. And that's, I think, a very profound impact for the work which we do and the way we impact the community. So this is something which is going to go on, and we intend replicating this across crops. So in India, we are in about 10 crops, and already in 5 crops, we are impacting at the farm level on various issues, and that too with the help of various NGOs there. And this is a journey which is going to continue, and I am sure it would get intensified over a period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sacheti. I'm sure Olam as a company is a committed company towards sustainability, but let me share with you that even Sacheti is committed to sustainability. I've seen his mustache. 20 years back it was the same, and 20 years later it is still the same. I've known him for 20 years. That has not changed. Now we have a very interesting gentleman from the city I come from, Mr. Rao from GHCL, and we'd like him to share his thoughts. Ahmedabad. The city is Ahmedabad, from where our Prime Minister comes from.
At outset, I congratulate Solidaridad for inviting me on your celebration of 10 years, this one. And I have been associated with Solidaridad for the last 4 years, and you people did the traceability of our company in Unilever. Actually, I'm very emotional coming to this stage and talking to you in front of you, because basically I'm a farmer. I'm having my own farmland, and we produce the cotton, we produce tomatoes and everything. But I don't want to do the farming, because what you rightly people said, that yield is very less for survival. For survival, I came to industry. I'm doing a job. I'm having the few examples of the sustainability in our company. We are actually chemical soda ash manufacturer. We are in the textile, producing the bed sheets, which is 98% export to Europe and US. We are having a yarn business at South India. And plus, we are having the consumable product like salt and spices and honey, other product. I will share some of the sustainability in this areas with the permission of the chair. And with the Dr. Chandrasekaran, I'm closely working at institute. So far the mining, I'm basically looking the raw material for my soda ash plant for around 5 million ton. Basically in the mining industry, you all aware that we are actually breaking the virgin land. The problem starts from there actually. You are listening, you are seeing the newspaper and media. When you start breaking the land, your pollution starts, your sustainability starts, your local issue starts, NGO starts. Again, the authorities comes. Actually, as an industry, we have taken some few initiatives. After the breaking the land, whatever that land removed, that is refilled with soil, and that same land has been used for the agriculture purpose. That we are doing it at our establishment. The second thing, wherever the mining has been gone down at a deeper level, those areas we are using as a reservoir for water reservoir, so that the conservation of water. The two things we are doing at our industry. The most important is the mining means blasting. Everybody knows it. We put a lot of blasting and we take out that material. Now slowly management has taken initiatives to eliminate the blasting, go for the mechanical means, so that losses to the surrounding people, surrounding agricultural lands may not be happening. So that initiative we have taken. Like that, many initiatives have taken the salt industry, like other industries. So that I don't want to go very deep actually. It requires a lot of time. Then I comes to my other division actually, that yarn division and textile division. See, the sustainability is a very interesting subject. See, if you see 20 years back or 30 years back, this water was not available in the pawn shop. Today, this water bottle available in the pawn shop. Wherever you want it across the pan India, it is available. See, the problem starts from there only. See, once you started filling the water in the bottle, and how to use this empty bottle. See, we don't have the mechanism for the waste bottle. See, you see across the Bombay and other big cities, the biggest problem comes only the plastic. See, now, with the help of Reliance Industries and with our company, we have manufacturing the bed sheet with the waste bottle and cotton. We are using the waste bottle as well as agriculture product. That's why I bought the two actually, to see that one. This is the bed sheet consisting of waste bottle yarn and cotton. Waste bottle yarn is consisting of 40% and cotton consisting of 60%. See, in the Reliance is having that 3 plants in the country. One is the Hoshiarpur in near Delhi. One is Barabanki area. They are actually collecting the entire waste bottles from this region and removing this label and this cap. With this plastic, they are taking the yarn. The same yarn is going to my unit at Madurai. At Madurai, we are adding the 60% cotton, and that yarn coming to the Vapi for manufacturing the bed sheet. This bed sheet is called the Recoup. We have made the brand. This is unique in the country. No one is manufacturing this type of bed sheet. This is a patent product, and this is how the sustainability. See, sustainability have many versions. Like Mr. Atul has said rightly, every industry have a sustainability in different form actually. But we are having the different form of the sustainability. And with this note, thank you very much for giving the opportunity to exhibit and to express my views. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. In fact, while just talking to Mr. Chandrasekaran, I came across a very interesting statistics. And that is something which Solidaridad needs to seriously mull over. And that is, as far as India is concerned, India agriculture consumes almost 80% of the water, and industry only consumes 6 to 7%. So I think water being used on a sustainable basis is an area which Solidaridad or agencies or NGOs like that need to very, very seriously look at, because the next problem which is going to come in India big time is going to be water. Even a state like Punjab has already started facing this big time. So interesting conversation, and thank you very much. Thank you, the Chair. Over to you.
Thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation, and there is a reason why many of us feel privileged to have all of you on the dais. There are a few very interesting takeaways. One is obviously the conversation on marriage, and that's exactly right. The sustainable marriage is one where you don't give a divorce. So it's while you're looking for partners, just, it's very important that having found the partners, such as ourselves, let's hope that the marriage sustains and lasts as long as it can. The other very interesting takeaway is on intervention itself, that, some of you are doing very fantastic and very interesting work across industries. To be honest, the word sustainability inspires and means very different things to different people. And therefore, it's important to have that dialogue between various stakeholders. What exactly do we mean? If you look at it from a very traditional, typical finance world from where I come, sustainability just meant profits. And obviously, that is a very different kind of sustainability from the conversation we had. Therefore, your interest and endeavors in working with us is highly appreciated. I would really once again thank you for your time and privilege. It's our privilege to have you here. Thank you so much. I'll invite Ms. Amin, who's the chairperson of our Asia board, to kind of possibly say a few words if you would like, and also felicitate our esteemed guests.
Thank you to an excellent panel. I think we learned a lot from each and every one of you, and we want to take the sustainability agenda forward, not only in Asia region, but all over the globe. And I think India is a good example in the different sectors, how we are approaching sustainability, not only at the private sector level, but as well as the public sector level. So there's a partnership we see, a PPP, a public-private partnership, where we are engaging in solving the dissimiles of the world and trying to create a better world for the future generation. I thank each and every one of you for your time and sharing the 10th anniversary with us at Solidaridad. And you have made the last panel a very interesting panel. And I want to also thank the facilitator for doing an excellent job in timekeeping. And let's have a big hand, yes. And we welcome all of you for the tea that we will have. But before that, I have an excellent announcement, very interesting announcement, that we are going to have a merger. We're going to sign an MOU next week with the leather technology industry, CSI, and we are looking forward to that and a long-term journey in sustainability together. So thank you all very much. And I think we have some goodies. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing good about Solidaridad, which I want to share, is Solidaridad works basis the local environment, and that is something which is very good, and it doesn't impose itself. It tries to help the local environment be better and more sustainable. So on that, I congratulate Solidaridad.
Chairman, thank you so much. Shatadru. 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 Thank you so much. Before we disperse, a couple of very quick announcements. There is a little bit of a networking event and some snacks in Utsav 3. Kindly be there. And there is a gala event at 7:30 in the open space. So please do join us. Thank you so much.